and welcome back to my channel. So in this little vlog I want to talk about something. I've avoided talking about this on social media a lot because I don't really like to contribute to a discussion about an important social issue if I feel like I'm just going to be kind of adding to the noise that's already there. I only really like to post about things if I feel like if I've actually got like something new or something valuable to really contribute to that. So that's why I'm making this video now. So this video is in relation to the bushfires that are happening all around Australia. Whether you're from Australia or not from Australia, I'm sure you would have seen on the media the terrible implications of the bushfires that are happening. The bushfires in Australia have seen, I think, 4 million acres of land lost in the state of New South Wales alone. If you compare that to the bushfires in California or perhaps the Amazon rainforest bushfires, it's huge in scale. The size of this is insane. There have been several deaths, an insane number of animals and wildlife that have been killed, obviously a lot of habitat loss, and then of course this is leaving people essentially displaced, for lack of a better word. A lot of people have got nowhere to go, they're losing their homes to the fires, they're having to flee, some on boats. It's very, it's disheartening, it's upsetting to see. It's also I personally have been getting very angry just watching the way that our Prime Minister has kind of handled the situation, or perhaps not really handled the situation. But this video is not necessarily going to be an attack on Scott Morrison. I want to keep this as apolitical as I possibly can. And what I want to talk about in this video is really some practical things that we can do as citizens or as consumers to help, instead of sitting idly by, feeling kind of useless and feeling really distraught about the whole situation. So there are, I guess, 3 different types of ways that we can help that I want to discuss. So the first of these is financially. If you're in a position to donate money, that's really great. If you're looking to help the firefighters who are kind of there on the front line putting out these fires and trying to handle the situation and reduce and mitigate the effects of the bushfires, then I would definitely recommend donating directly to the New South Wales Rural Fire Service. If you would like to help the people who have become displaced or the people who are in need of humanitarian assistance as a result of the bushfires and having their homes lost and that sort of thing, then definitely a reputable organisation like the Red Cross would be the way to go. If you would prefer to donate your money to an environmental organisation that might help with the after effects of the biodiversity loss, with the injured wildlife who will need rehabilitating, then definitely a reputable wildlife organisation would be the way to go. Another way of giving, without giving financially if you prefer, is by actually physically donating things that are needed. So there are a number of ways you can do this. The way I'm going to personally be doing, which I'll show you guys very shortly, is my local councillor has partnered with an organisation that provides housing and essentials for people who are in like crisis housing and crisis accommodation as a result of the fires, and they're collecting toiletries specifically in these what they're calling like dignity packs, which is basically like a toiletries bag, kind of like with all the essentials to give out to people. Another way is through a website like Give It. Give It is an Australian website where people who are in need of things can go online, whether they're like individuals or a group, or an organisation, and they can actually ask for specific resources that they might be in need of. So I've been watching Give It over the last couple of days. I've seen all sorts of things from like water pumps to fencing to bedding and mattresses for people who have lost their homes in the fires. So perhaps if you have like things lying around at home that you don't really need that are in good condition, and if you see that there are people on Give It or organisations on Give It that are looking to collect these things, consider maybe using Give It to donate these items directly to people in need. The third way I want to talk about helping is perhaps if you're not in a position to give financially or give physical resources or give your time to an organisation, would be to engage in some kind of advocacy or activism. it's very clear from the number of scientists and experts who have spoken out about the bushfires that these are indeed related to climate change. Climate change isn't an issue that we have to think about when it comes to the future. It's something that is happening here and now, and people in our country are experiencing this firsthand. Our leaders, our government are failing to acknowledge this at best, and at worst they are simply ignoring it or even denying that climate change has anything to do with the bushfires. So if you're not in a position to help financially or with resources, consider going to support an advocacy or activism group that is campaigning for systemic change, so campaigning for legislative change or policy change when it comes to climate change. And support these groups that are campaigning for our government to meet the standards that it's agreed to as part of the Paris Climate Accord. So that's all I wanted to talk about really quickly, but I am going to vlog the rest of the day. I'm going to take you guys around with me and I'm going to show you everything I get up to today. So this morning Beck and I are going to go to a discount store and we're going to pick up some bulk toiletries items and stuff so that we can make these dignity bags that our local council are collecting for people in crisis accommodation. So we're just going to buy like essential toiletries and stuff like that, and hopefully little bags that we can put them in. And then we're also going to head to an op shop because I want to buy some secondhand t-shirts for a little project that I'm working on. She's just... Hi, I'd like to make a complaint. So we got bulk toothpaste, bulk soaps, got 30 roses, all these packs of combs. I got a bunch of these little travel body wash, shampoo, lotion things, deodorants and toothbrushes. Watching me film.
Yeah, because you're very cute.
So these are the bags I'm going to be using. They were the most suitable ones I could find. They're like a reusable produce bag, but they seem to be made out of like a water resistant material. So this is what they're going to go inside. So this is what's going into one of the bags, and then this is what they're starting to look like. You're not allowed in here. No, you're not allowed here. Out. So I'm currently preparing to screen print some shirts. So myself and a few people will be attending an event with the Humanitarian Changemakers Network, my social enterprise, and it's some of the volunteers who helped me write articles for our prototype of Changing Times, the newspaper, and we were talking about how cool it would be to have kind of like shirts for the event, but obviously I wasn't really keen on getting shirts printed or anything if I didn't know like where the shirts were coming from or what was being used to print on them and whatnot. And then I had the idea of just buying secondhand shirts from an op shop and then screen printing them myself, because I'll probably need to make more shirts for things in the future. So I've gone and got just a little screen printing kit, some vegetable based fabric inks, and I've got some secondhand shirts which I'm really happy are blue, that is very similar to the blue of our logo. So I'm going to do black ink on blue shirts. I'm currently just creating the stencil thing, so I'm using, it's like drawing fluid. So this is the brand of the screen printing frame that I got it from Spotlight, and I've literally just printed off on some paper my logo and what I want to print on the shirts, and I spilled out of the lines a little bit, but fingers crossed it turns out alright. I think the one thing that I kind of wanted to talk about in this video, only because I've seen a few posts on social media this evening actually about it, and I kind of want to state my opinion, I guess. I've seen a lot of posts saying if people are upset or whatever about the bushfires, that they shouldn't waste their time blaming Scott Morrison, the Prime Minister, or anything like that. They should spend their time obviously taking action. And in this video I've talked about various ways you can take action, whether it be through donating money or donating resources and items or volunteering your time. But I think it is really important to acknowledge that if people don't have the capacity to help in these ways, we can't overlook the importance of demanding systemic change from our government, because the lack of action from Scott Morrison shows that he has ignored what scientists and experts and people in his own country have been saying for a long time, and that's the effects of climate change are going to be happening very soon. Morrison has completely ignored all of the warnings that have been coming for quite a few years about climate change, and particularly even from the CSIRO, Australia's own research agency, basically saying that by 2020 Australia is going to see a huge increase in the risks of bushfires, and he's completely ignored that. He's refusing to take any kind of legitimate action to prevent the root causes of this issue. And so it's really important that people engage in advocacy and activism to demand that he do something, because he is the Prime Minister. People are saying that he should be given a break for the fact that he went on a holiday in Hawaii while the bushfires were happening and New South Wales was entering a state of emergency. And everyone was saying kind of cut him a break, like, you know, he can't help it that his annual leave, you know, happened to fall during this period. But that's not what a good leader does. A good leader doesn't just up and leave when your country is literally burning. And there are so many other Australian leaders who in previous disasters or emergencies have been there on the ground doing hard work. And I don't want to make this political, but if you look at Anthony Albanese, the leader of the opposition, he has been doing tremendous work on the ground, giving up his own time, giving up his own money to help bushfire affected communities. And all Scott Morrison seems to be doing is trying to shake people's hands and failing, and trying to get photos. It's an absolute joke. We can't just let the leader of our country get away with this kind of stuff. If we want action, we have to demand it, and that's a part of democracy. Democracy requires participation. People think that, you know, you go to a polling booth once every 4 years and you vote for who you want to come into government, and then that's it. That's democracy. You've engaged in politics. But politics in democratic societies is about participation. You should be going out there and engaging with your local members of parliament and signing petitions and letting the Prime Minister know what you want from him. That's the whole point of democracy. So people actually need to get involved and engage in politics. So if there's one more thing you take away from this video, it's that you feel a little bit more encouraged or empowered to engage in, I guess, more political discussions. And it does suck trying to politicize these things, but at the end of the day, sometimes you have to. At the end of the day, the personal is political, and if you personally want to see something happen, you need to demand change.